I wanted to change the subject. I've always wanted to ask you this. What were your first thoughts and your immediate reaction when you learned of the now famous Bitfinex hack that took place in 2016?
So I was, so that was basically, you go through different stages, right? So first you say, well, it's not possible. There was a third-party custodian mode, so it's not possible, and so on. And then when you start realizing that, you feel really terrible. The reason why you feel terrible is because you feel like you have let down your customers, and that's the worst feeling that you can ever experience, right? You never. When you are an exchange, people trust you with their money, right? It can be $1, or can be $1,000, or 1 million, or 1 billion. It does not matter. For them is a lot of money, and since for them is a lot of money, it's your responsibility to take good care of that. So we let that happen, and we had two options. We could stop working, or we could roll up our sleeves and say, okay, we will actually make everyone whole. We will keep running, and we will repay with our own work who lost money with us. And that's what we did. That's why I'm so attached to these two companies, because they are made by really lions.
That was my second part of my question, was how did you manage to pull through when we've seen so many other exchanges kind of go to the wayside after a devastating hack like that?
So I think that we set history. So what we did was we socialized losses, but what we did is that we created a token that was just tradable on Bitfinex, that would represent, we lost $72 million worth of Bitcoin at that time. So we create $72 million of these BFX tokens. And people had two options, three options: sell it on the market, so there was a liquid market. Second, they could wait for us to earn money in order for buy at $1. Our commitment was buying those tokens at $1. Or third option would convert those tokens, PFX tokens, into Bitfinex shares. So we had so the first month, the moment we reopened trading, we were again the first exchange, right? Everyone was still trading on us. So we were, and at the time also crypto was like Bitcoin was growing. So between 2016 2017, there was like that big boom of crypto. So we were making more money. So the first month we started, I think we bought back like $1 million worth of BFX tokens. And then people start realizing, okay, they are doing something. And then the second month we bought 5 more. And then people started realizing that we could actually end up really well. And then we started getting more and more people to convert their BFX tokens in equity. And then we kept going. And in the end, after even around 7 months, we were able to pay back everything. So part of the ones affected converted their BFX tokens into shares, and others just waited for the full redemption. But the entire process took 7 months. When $72 million at that time were an enormous amount of money. Today we are seeing like the Pony network hack was like $600 million. And say, wow, the size of the crypto markets has changed so much in the last 5 years.
That's interesting, like how you guys bounce back so quickly as well. I suppose it's pretty impressive. I guess like with this applies to Bitfinex and Tether, both organizations, projects. But like with the current, it seems like regulators are really stepping up. Well, not necessarily stepping up their game, but stepping up their attempted involvement in the game. You've got things like. So it was Coinbase has been told they can't. I saw Brian Armstrong this morning on Twitter upset about how Coinbase can't release a new feature. I think it was like a lending, I believe. And also there's things like the Ripple lawsuit going on with the SEC, and there's quite a few situations where the EU are talking about how they're going to try and stamp down on Bitcoin, and so is the US, and all these different things. I suppose, do you see regulations causing I guess, more and more of an issue for both Bitfinex and Tether? Or because obviously you said you work quite closely with regulators where you can. So do you feel like you guys are kind of well equipped to weather the storm of incoming regulations, or do you think that government's going to get quite nasty, I suppose, and try their best to crack down in a harsh draconian fashion, especially US, UK, and EU, I suppose?
So we were the first exchange that decided to leave the US. I think was late 2017, early 2018. So we have been seeing these things coming, right? And so we have been proactive, and from the KYC AML point of view, and from discussions with the regulators and law enforcement. So we are, I think, well equipped because our compliance team is great. We have, also our legal team is extremely well equipped to guide us in the process of acquiring licenses.
Well, no, I appreciate that. And I suppose because obviously you mentioned, like, I don't know if you're going to have an answer to this question actually, but it's something I was curious about because I was when I was thinking, obviously, we're going to be talking to you. I know back in, and I know this is a big issue as well, like with Tether, a lot of the people who are upset with Tether, I think they, especially there's a guy called CoffeeZilla I've seen on YouTube who gets like pretty riled up about Tether, and I actually used to watch his videos on other stuff. I quite liked him, but he's getting very upset about it. And I think a big thing is I saw in July a lot of people moaning about this audit situation, right? Despite the fact that you guys were settled already with I think it was New York. Basically, back in July, I believe it came out that there was going to be an independent audit of Tether's funds and backing, etc. Do you have any updates on that kind of thing? Because I know people will want to know an answer to that since we've got you here. Do you have any updates on that, I suppose?
So let me just clarify. So in 2021, we settled with the NIAG. Then we started providing a quarterly attestation. So an attestation is not a full audit, but it's still it's basically what all the other stable coins are doing. So that is basically the best that a stablecoin can offer in this moment. Then we went one step further and we started providing a breakdown of reserves. So the breakdown of reserves is the one that is the famous one that where people say, yes, but you have commercial papers, right? So after that, people were asking more information. What we did was, okay, then you want to know what are these commercial papers? Fine. We will give you the rating of the commercial papers. That is the vast majority of the commercial papers is rated A2 or above. That is, and it's rated by Standard & Poor's. So that is basically the most known rating agency, right, in the US. So we kept going and giving more information. Then we went on CNBC and we said, yeah, by the way, guys, now that we settle our thing with NIAG and we set up this process with the stations, we already started a full audit process, and we believe that within a few months we will have that, right? So the process is going well. So I cannot give you an exact timeline, but all our resources are to make that happen, because I think that we will make a good service to the community, to the people that defend us, and to all our customers. But at the same time, if you ask me if you have the full audit, your troubles and the witch hunt will stop, I will tell you no. Because before they were saying you don't have the money. And then now that the NIAG and after NIAG we had this we came out with the attestation that proves that we have the money. Yeah, but the money is not not allocated in the way we want. And then we will do the full audit and we'll say, yes, but you are we don't like it. We don't like your T-shirt, or we don't like your hairs. And it will, with these people like all the classic ones that are attacking us, they keep changing the goal. So they are not fair. They are not fair debate, in my opinion.
I understand that. It does feel to me a little bit like, so for example, I saw like an article about USDC in Circle, and that they're trying to become a bank, and they're going to change to being backed by just dollars in an account, all these different things. So, but then it's always, we are going to, or we're going to be, or we're trying to. And people, I feel like a lot of people see them as like the cleaner, safer stable coin as a result of these kind of promises. But actually, it just feels like they're kind of just winning a war of trying to appear cleaner, if you get what I mean. It doesn't really feel like they actually are any different, really, I suppose. It just feels like they're trying to play the publicity war a little bit better. I suppose the question coming out of this is like, because originally, from my understanding, could be wrong, but originally Tether and Bitfinex weren't like publicly closely linked, right? And it only became like later on that was the case. Do you feel like some of the like negative witch hunts on Tether that I guess must put some people off? Do you think that is something that kind of impacts Bitfinex badly because of the link? I guess, do you wish that they hadn't been linked together like that, I suppose? Or do you think that really it's not actually a big problem? And if anything, Tether maybe strengthens Bitfinex's public opinion because of, you've got, you're linked to a token that has $69 billion placed in it. Do you see what I mean? Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing, I guess, that both are so linked together?
Well, I think that I can answer for myself. I love to be the CTO of both companies. So I think that they are two awesome group of people, although there are some overlapping. I'm an example. I think that, Bitfinex is doing great, by the way, is, still one of the top exchanges. Tether is the top stable coin. So I don't think the two things are affected. And, I think things are going great for both companies.
I guess I want to change topic after this question because I don't want to just ask you about Tether for like half the interview. But yeah, I guess when it comes to Tether, something I was curious about, people, for example, at Bitrefill will ask, okay, what goes into accepting, accepting a token for payment or a cryptocurrency for payment? Because obviously we had USDT on Ether, then on Tron, and people will just want to know, like, why can't they get USDT on Terra or all these other things? So there's obviously a reason for that. I guess with you guys, like for Tether, what is in that thought process? What goes behind choosing the networks that your token will run on? Because obviously you said you're going to be working on Lightning and things as well. Is it a mix of different like things and attributes that you guys then make a decision on? Like, hey, we're going to focus on that, or is there like key metrics that you guys focus on for what your token runs on, essentially sits on?
So it's basically just a decision of community size, right? So we look at in the end, if you do the effort to support in the blockchain, you want to make sure that there is enough support. Tron Tron was the third blockchain we supported and had already a growing community, and transactions are cheap, and so everything worked. Everything in the end worked really well. And today, I believe that there is something like 34 billion issued on Tron. So that's a great example. Not all blockchains has been extremely successful. Sometimes you cannot properly analyze how many developers are actually on using the blockchain, because sometimes then the trading numbers don't reflect necessarily the community behind the development community behind each blockchain. So we are seeing, of course, less uptake on certain blockchains, but Tron, Ethereum, Omni, and we believe Liquid and Lightning will be another huge step for that in terms of use acquisition.
I'm sure we're all pretty very excited with what's happening in El Salvador, and I guess some people do have some reservations regarding the basically being forced to accept Bitcoin as a payment. People do not have the option to actually refuse accepting Bitcoin if a customer do offer Bitcoin. What are your thoughts? Do you think it's a bit too extreme? And do you think people should have the option to actually either accept or refuse? Or do you think it's a net positive either way?
So, yeah, it's a tough question, because sometimes, from Bitcoin perspective, I believe that if you don't make it a bit, forceful, this law, you will not push, commerciants to adopt Bitcoin. That in the end will be beneficial, at least from my point of view, for the long-term let's say, growth of a country. So, you know, if basically, because probably if what, let's say that the law wouldn't have made it mandatory, maybe McDonald's would not have adopted it, right? And I mean, of course, I don't like imposing things. I don't like, I really don't like that, especially from a government point of view. So I feel like myself a little, honestly, I feel myself a little bit biased in saying, yes, I don't mind that this is actually enforced. So, you know, truthfully, I'm biased, but, you know, the governments in general do force a lot of things on people that are not fair. So for once, I like this one.